Hello, Al Pals. This is Big Al. Welcome to Big Al Presents my thoughts on Thor, Love and Thunder. The latest Marvel film has just been released in theaters, and I have had a chance to see it and, of course, wanted to share my thoughts on it. Before I do so, however, spoiler warnings. There may be a few spoilers that I give away. I'm not going to try to give too much away, but if it does happen and you don't want to know anything, stop here, go see the film, and come back later to see if you see where I'm coming from with some of my viewpoints. And now that that's out of the way, my thoughts on Thor, Love, and Thunder. Chris Hemsworth is back as the Norse god of thunder. Thor, also Avenger, also pseudo sort of Guardian of the Galaxy, whatever. Uh, Wherever he wants to be, he kind of is. It seems he's still trying to find his place in life, and then he finds out that there is a huge threat. Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, is out to kill all the gods. Why? He does have very good reasons, which they set up quite well at the beginning of the film, I will say. And along the way, he has a surprise reunion with Jane Foster, once again, played by the lovely Natalie Portman. And she kind of has a bit of a secret of her own. She has been deemed worthy and is able to wield Mjolnir, the hammer that we all thought was fractured and destroyed. It has reassembled itself and has given its power to Jane. And why did it do this? Jane was dying of cancer, and at one point during their relationship, Thor asked Mjolnir, always take care of Jane. Mjolnir sensed her need, it called her to it, and bestowed its power upon her. However, there is a, there is a drawback to that power. I'm not going to get really into that right now. But that's kind of the thrust of the film. Jane's dealing with her cancer, and everyone is dealing with Gore the God Butcher wanting to kill all the gods. So overall, this film has some good aspects to it, but overall, I thought it missed the mark. As much as I love Thor, he is probably my favorite of the MCU. I still hold that the original film Thor, probably my favorite of that early batch, and that includes Iron Man and Avengers and all those. I love the original Thor, simple and straightforward. But as they continually have given us Thor, once they hit Ragnarok, Thor started to become more of a comedic franchise. And I think that's starting to do a disservice. It's one thing to have comedic elements, but Thor Love and Thunder seemed to go out of its way to try to deliver jokes. And sadly, a lot of them I felt kind of fell flat. So if they were trying to recapture that humorous Ragnarok vibe, I really think they missed that mark. The best aspect of the film, though, Christian Bale is Gord the God Butcher. He delivers a fantastic performance. They set the character up perfectly. His motivation and how he gains the Necrosword, which is the sword that can kill a god. And you kind of see where the man's coming from. I'm not going to say that he's at all uh, a kind of villain that you can root for. He's not that at all. He's doing the evilest of things for a reasonable reason, if that makes any sense. But Christian Bale just delivers an outstanding performance. And like I said, he's the best part of the film, hands down. Natalie Portman, I think, does a good job as Jane Foster. She definitely got in shape for the role. She looks like a Norse goddess. I'll give her that. And they do show her without the hammer, and she portrays the cancer patient very convincingly. So I think she delivered on her performance, and most of the performances in the film, there's nothing really wrong with them for the most part. Tessa Thompson returns as Valkyrie. She's kind of there. She helps. She fights. She cracks a joke or two. That's about it. Nothing much more to say about Valkyrie. Korg, once again, voiced by Taika Waititi. A very enjoyable performance. He is a humorous hunk of rock, and he is given some of the best jokes in the film, I think, or his presence is the one on which a lot of the comedy, I think, is built. And I think Taika Waititi does really great vocal work. Because he's also done some from Star Wars, and I've always thought he was very decent. Although I think his direction in this film was a bit off, but that's me. As Korg, did a great job, I thought. And then we have Russell Crowe as Zeus, who made some interesting acting choices in this role. Either that or the director gave him some very strange advice. He plays Zeus very, I don't want to say effeminate, but that's the word I'm coming up with. He kind of seems a bit of a dandy, a bit of a just strange kind of a character, and it just didn't seem like Zeus to me. Now, I'm not familiar with Zeus in the comics, but this Zeus was bizarre, and I just don't know. He was played pretty much totally for laughs, and I think that's kind of a discredit. They started bringing in a lot of the gods, and I think it would have been a very interesting and dynamic way to meet a lot of them, but they made them a joke, and I think that did a disservice to the film. And Thor gets a couple of goats who scream incessantly, and I thought my head was going to explode a few times listening to it. I really did. Now I love goats, and I think they looked fun, and they are kind of humorous and kind of neat. But the screaming got to me. Uh, Other than that, they were fine. But yeah, man, those goat screams really were doing me in. And the Guardians of the Galaxy appeared, and I just felt it was such a waste of a cameo. They were just kind of standing around and hiding while the shooting was going on and doing some shooting on their own, and they were there for Thor to stand in front of and look cool. I thought it was a wasted cameo. There was really no need to have them in there except for the star power, and ultimately was kind of a waste, sadly. I still love the Guardians of the Galaxy and their characters, but them in this film, they just really didn't give them that much to do. As so, wasted opportunity, like I said. Overall, the film just felt disjointed. Um, didn't seem to have too much of a focus. Now, as with all Marvel films, it looks beautiful. The effects are are great. For some reason, the Thor films look more like a comic book than the other MCU films with the coloring and the scenes and the fantastical settings and everything like that. And of course, the action, you cannot fault it. The MCU has got action and, like I said, special effects and everything like that down to a science. The performances, aside from a few acting choices by Russell Crowe, and um, were fine. Uh, there were no real issues with them. It it's just that I thought the story was okay. The pacing of the film seemed fine, but it just didn't really seem to want to go anywhere except to the next punchline, the next sight gag, the next laugh. And when it did get serious, that's really when the film was decent. Uh, Fighting Gore and, you know, the confrontation between him and Thor and uh, Jane as the mighty Thor, however, whatever they were, you know, wanted to call her, that was good. So it's really, for me, a tale of two films. One really good film, one really bad film. The bad film was the attempted comedy. The good film was the dynamic villain fighting our heroes and one of our heroes trying to survive herself with Mjolnir giving her strength that she didn't have before because of the cancer. That was good. So, what am I going to give this film in a rating? I thought hard about it, and like I said, it was a tale of two films, one good, one bad. So let's split it right down the middle, 2.5 stars. I really wanted to like this film a lot more than I did. I feel they need to take Thor in a different direction, a little more serious direction. And there are some serious aspects. The ending sets up a more mature Thor because of what happens at the end of the film. He gets a new responsibility. I'm not going to go into that. That's part of the. That's a spoiler I'm not going to give because it's kind of the big basis of the movie and where the movie gets its title, which is explained. So it's not so much an MCU porn title. It kind of makes sense at the end, sort of. So Thor: Love and Thunder or Thor: Love and Blunder. I am sure that's the title that the fan man would have given it if he was reviewing the film, if he decided he wanted to watch it. But I think he's been done with the MCU films. But that's kind of my little homage to the fan man. Love and Blunder, 2.5 stars. Really split down the middle on this one. But, you know, sometimes it is what it is. Still glad I saw it, though, because, you know, I like to experience it, and there are some good aspects to the film. Of course, your mileage may vary. I guess my mileage just didn't get me very far on this one. And that's all for my review of Thor Love and Thunder, or Thor Love and Blunder, as I kind of sort of was getting ready to say again. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Big Al Presents, I hope you do so. More reviews, rewatches, and rambles in the weeks and months to come. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it around with your friends. Get the word out there. Uh, I hope everyone has a wonderful time finding some kind of entertainment for their lives, or whatever you do find and do decide to watch. I really hope you enjoy it, because that's the whole point of it all. Until next time, take care and goodbye.